PAX8 Beyond 2026. What an incredible event. Incredible. I believe it's PAX8's finest. Was there in Salt Lake City, and it was run incredibly well. The keynotes were really, really incredible. Great messaging, great new announcements. The way they handled the media. We had a whole podcasting row and treated us really, really well. Well attended. Thousands of MSPs, thousands of attendees that were just, ready to learn, ready to share, ready to be part of this community. Really great event. They're in Salt Lake City, an unusual location in that I've never been to an event there before, but Salt Lake City did a really good job of hosting it. Beautiful there in the mountains, and absolutely the weather was incredible, although we didn't spend much time outside. But Podcast Row was set up incredibly well too by PAX8 leadership. Had 15 great conversations. First was with Brent Whitfield from New Charter, of course, from Garage Startup to 8-figure exit lessons for MSP leaders. Great conversation with Brett, great insight. Next was my friend Rob Scott from Monjura, of course. Why AI can't replace human expertise in high stakes decisions. Great conversation with Rob. Rob, so well-rounded. Really enjoyed. It's my second time talking with him on the podcast. Dave Meister from Checkpoint, from Tech Apprentice to Global Cybersecurity Leader. Great conversation with Dave. Really, really cool insight. First time meeting Dave. Oh, and then Kim Simmons. My goodness. Second year talking to her at PAX8. I'm a big fan of her and her Cloud Contracts 365. How growth mindset and AI are reshaping business success. Wonderful to see Kim. Next, Dan Daniele from CrowdStrike. Had the pleasure of knowing Dan for many years. How AI is changing cybersecurity faster than most businesses realize. Really great conversation with Dan. Always enjoy his time. Ryan Seguin. First time I met Ryan from ScalePad. Really great conversation, really open. Why your best growth opportunity is already in front of you. From PAX8, next was Ola Wodakowicz. Sorry, Ola, if I mispronounced that. From burnout to balance in a hyper-connected world. First time meeting Ola. Really great conversation. Enjoyed it. Gagan Singh, of course, from Blackpoint, CEO there. The AI revolution, opportunity, risk, and the future of humanity. Great talk with Gagan. I've had the pleasure of talking to him before, not on the podcast, but really, really smart, really insightful. Daniel De La Garza from Kipling Secure. Great conversation with Daniel. There, we're doing a lot of work with Kipling. It was a really great conversation. Thank you, Daniel. Next was Jason Myers from Open Text. AI is powerful, but not as smart as you think. Great conversation with Jason. Joe Levy was next from Sophos. Had so much in common with Joe. We're both from the Northeast, and we were doing very similar things with computing in the 90s, and really great insight from Joe. Thank you very much. Luisa Balanuch. I think I mispronounced that, Luisa. But incredible conversation with Lisa. She's doing great thing with offshore and nearshore hiring, helping MSPs do that. FlexPoint is the name of the company. Ryan Walsh from PAX8. My friend Ryan, is the second year we've talked on the podcast. Great insight. The time goes by so quickly. Thank you very much, Ryan. Brian O'Shaughnessy, one of my good friends for 15 years, has an MSP, recently merged with a friend, Rob Bruce, who I also talked to. From startup panic to lasting success. Great talking with Brian, great insight. Jessica Davis. My goodness, Jessica, we've known each other for a little while. Great to have you on the podcast. And last was Rob Bruce, the two leadership partners at Skytide, from Africa to MSP business. Excellent guest. I thank all of you for taking the time to spend with me there at Beyond. And thank you for watching and for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word, discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others. How long did you live in Africa?
We started
How long have you? You were there for like a year.
until I was 10.
From when to 10? You were born there?
Born in D.C., moved to Africa, moved to Pennsylvania for a year. My dad went to the war college, moved back to Africa.
So from a baby, you were there till 10.
Yeah,
And where in Africa?
just under 10. West Africa.
Be more specific.
Nigeria and Ghana, Lagos and Accra.
Now, Nigeria is the largest populated country, I believe.
130, 140 million, yeah.
And it's no longer called Lagos, correct?
I think it still is.
Oh,
I think that was the capital when I was there. If they renamed it, I'm unaware.
And so tell me what life is like there as a child before 10 years. What do you remember?
I remember the things that a child would remember. I remember climbing mango trees and having every kind of citrus in our yard, and 2-foot-long night crawlers that would be on the ground. I remember
A night crawler is a
worm, an earthworm.
earthworm 2 feet.
Yeah, I remember.
Did it have legs?
No, it was a worm, Joe.
So it's like, what's the difference between that and a snake?
Snake's a reptile.
I say.
Worm's an annelid, I believe.
Wow.
Anyway, I remember we would buy a pineapple, chop the green part off, stick it in the ground, it would grow. We have to harvest coconut, I think, twice a year. We had it all over our property. I think soon after I left, the embassy tore down that particular building, because back then all the buildings had outbuildings for kitchens, because if there was a fire, then the kitchen burned down, not the rest of the house. But I think they tore that down and made it into a multi-dwelling unit after that. And I remember school was kindergarten up through master's college, and the U.S. government back then for PR would 10% of the school was local population that was gifted that tested in. Huh. And that's the way that everybody liked the Americans being there, because there was a chance for a higher education, and some of that, and we built goodwill. So I remember those classes as well.
Wow.
But I remember walking as a 4th grader over to the college in biology and seeing what they were doing in there, and it was interesting.
And what did your father do? Was your
My dad was a diplomat in the Foreign Service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And so what was so? I know very little of what a diplomat does.
Later on, he did things like he became head of West African Affairs, negotiated emergency landing spots in that part of the world for the shuttle when we were doing launches.
Wow.
Like he would allow, he would negotiate things for U.S. aid folks to be able to come by, help the local population, like taught them about why we're vaccinating for polio and measles and how it's to their advantage. And then really just show the world at the time that the U.S. is not there to just militarily take over or globalize, but that we were a force for good. And really it was about what my dad did, whether it was working with local leaders or with the U.S. government, was consensus building, which I feel doesn't happen enough anymore.
Interesting.
That was his skill.
Wow.
I mean, for example, he was a Democrat, and he was very liberal. Not in the sense that people mean it now, but in the sense the founders were liberals.
Right.
But he was also unanimously voted to be the president of the board at the very Republican country club near D.C.
Wow.
every year, because he was fair, worked to build consensus, worked to find solutions that were fair for everybody, And that's where I feel worldwide that doesn't happen anymore.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. So at age 10, you moved back to the States. How come? Why not stay?
Well, my parents felt that it'd be best for my sister and myself to have a consistent education from junior high through high school.
I see. Your sister's younger?
1 year. Yeah.
Never met your sister.
She does marketing. She's a marketing director for the Shenandoah Valley Museum in Virginia. And I've often thought about, if that didn't work out for her, trying to get her to do this for us remotely. But yeah, she's great. She's got a daughter who graduated Virginia Tech 3 years ago. And
you're a big Virginia Tech guy, yeah.
Yeah.
So you moved back, you went to Virginia?
Yeah, we were in Northern Virginia, in Fairfax and Springfield.
From ages 10 till adulthood?
Yeah, and then until I went to West Springfield High School in Fairfax and Virginia Tech College.
In this fast-paced MSP landscape, how do you stay ahead? Introducing MSPinfluencer.com, your ultimate hub for MSP news, insights, and community connection, powered by Forza Dash. More than 75,000 MSPs subscribe to our MSP Influencer Pulse weekly newsletter, staying informed and ahead of industry trends. Tune in to emerging podcasts from Joey Pinz and leading MSP voices, offering essential tips, powerful insights, and success stories. Explore our multi-authored blogs, crafted specifically for MSP leaders, delivering fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Celebrate excellence with the industry-leading Forza MSP Influencer Awards, recognizing innovation, leadership, and impact in the MSP community. Join thousands of MSP professionals who trust MSPinfluencer.com to grow their business and expand their networks. MSPinfluencer.com, where today's MSP leaders connect, collaborate, and conquer, all powered by the Forza platform, helping MSP vendors work effectively with MSPs and helping MSPs grow. And so did you feel you had a disadvantage or advantage being, those younger years being in Nigeria and West Africa?
I don't know that I considered whether it gave me an advantage. I did feel that I had seen a lot of the world that Americans don't.
Right.
And I felt like there are all these Americans, kids, that knew everything about everything, that hadn't seen poverty, didn't know how good they had it, and were quick to make judgments and find things to pick at with each other when the U.S. is in such a good place compared to the rest of the world, and really they didn't have the problems I think they had.
What did seeing poverty at such a level at such a young age teach you?
I don't know that it taught me anything. I just saw how the rest of the world could be. I just saw so much room for the U.S. to help uplift folks, and I saw what when we were successful with countries partnering with them, like putting institutions in place, how that country leveled up and became a good partner to the U.S. too. So I guess what it taught me was that most people, the limit of their knowledge is often the limit of their experiences. And it's different to read something than to experience it.
When did you get bit by the tech bug? When did you get into technology?
I always liked video games. A lot of boys do.
Me too. That was my entry, yeah.
But so I had a friend who got an IBM computer when we were in high school, or maybe 8th grade. And I had an Atari computer. And I was
400, 600,
800.
800. Nice.
The real keyboard.
Yeah.
And back then there was a knockoff called a Commodore. I think that was.
There was a VIC
Tandy,
and there was a 64.
Yeah, Radio Shack.
Radio Shack. Yeah. Yeah.
But I learned BASIC, and I learned some machine language, and I was programming games.
Whoa.
And
in high school.
Yeah. And I remember buying, painting the whole downstairs to buy a $400 floppy disk drive, a 5 1/4 that barely worked.
Changed my life.
Barely worked. Yeah, back then there was no permanent storage, right?
You had to retype everything in.
Yeah,
or you couldn't turn it off.
So you only had RAM when you turned the machine on. You had to load it somehow.
Yeah.
And you could type it in. They had magazines that had whole BASIC programs that you typed in.
Me too. Fun times.
Yeah. So then I struggled in high school. I probably had a 2.4 average. You
did well in the computer area though, and
I tested well, but I just didn't care for high school. I liked hanging out with my friends and playing sports and lucky to get into college. I don't think anybody like me would ever get into college now. And went to Virginia Tech, and I remember my mom saying, you can't take your car, and you can't take your computer. You're going to fail out in the first semester. And she, since I went into IT, like years later, has always apologized. I'm like, Mom, you're right. That I went to school, computer classes were Fortran, COBOL,
right.
and bringing that computer over did nothing but bad. But it was a curiosity for me, and like learning how to program, and the resources were so few and far between. There was no internet, like you go to the store and try to find some magazine on hacking or programming basic, and we don't have it, but you can order it from the back of this comic book. It'll get here in 2 months.
Yeah. So different.
So it was back then. It just seemed fun. It seemed like something that I liked. Not really rebellious, but just something a lot of people didn't know about, and as a way to be creative. I was always artistic, and I liked that. I liked having a little group of friends, myself, and played D&D with a bunch of guys. That was bad then too. Those people were going and killing people apparently. Yes. But it's funny how different the world is when you don't have something to take your attention and get everything at your fingertips, and you have to manufacture experience and get groups together. And people are social animals, and some of that's being trained out of us, and it's not necessarily a good thing.
So what's your first job out of college?
Out of college? Or before college or during college?
Once you got this tech bug, once you were into technology.
So out of college, I was working 3 jobs. I was managing a Crown bookstore. I was working at a golf warehouse. And I forget the third job.
Did you really?
But I was doing all this while I was interviewing in Crystal City in D.C. for a real job. My degree was in business. I didn't go to school for technology. And I had my college roommate called me after about 5 months, and I'd been job searching and working, and I got called to one of the registers at the golf place. I was stacking, I think, 450 boxes of shoes in a snake pattern, like by size. And I was like, no, that's what I went to college for.
Wow.
And Rob Bruce, you have a call, register 3. And I went and I picked it up, and it was my college roommate who lived in Jersey. I said, hey, it's Wednesday. I'm driving through town Friday, and then I'm moving to Colorado. Do you want to come? And I said, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never heard this story.
So I went home, quit all those 3 jobs, went home, and I told my dad, and he's like, what the hell are you doing? And I said, well, I need a break. And he's like, Jesus Christ, kid, what do you think you've had for 22 years? But he grew up in Colorado also when he was young.
Oh.
And when he came back to visit me when I was about 30 and ended up staying in Colorado, he said, you know what, you made the right choice.
Wow.
I wish I had done something similar when I was younger.
So 22 years old, you arrived where, in Denver?
No, I went right to Vail.
Right to Vail.
To learn to snowboard, live on the mountain. I got there, and there was not a lot of people in Vail at the time. And
this is 90s?
89. Lift ticket was $32. Health insurance on my own was $40. There was no such thing as a out-of-pocket maximum or minimum or whatever. And getting my own room and a place was $200. There was no bugs, no humidity, no traffic. My allergies were gone. And my stop in Vail for 1 year on the way to California to get a job turned into 37 years.
Wow.
And now I started out painting murals, bartending, bussing tables, working in a kitchen. And then I went from painting murals to, okay, they needed somebody to do design work for a sign place. So I started doing the engineering of signs and logo design and stuff. And I kept talking to the IT guy when he came in for the Novell network and the cables that connected it and how Windows 3.1 networked and NetBIOS and all that. NetBUI, maybe. I don't even remember. But after about 3 or 4 years, he asked me if I wanted a job.
Wow.
And I went to the owner of the design company, and I was doing kind of highly skilled work and some installations. And I said, is there any chance I could go from $7 an hour to $9 an hour and work 410s? And he said no. And I said, okay, well, I quit.
Wow.
And then I became an engineer, like started learning Windows, started learning how to, at the time it was even DOS, like 622. And then the first Windows were just layers on DOS. They weren't OSs. So a lot of the work you had to do to install CDs and drivers was all in DOS. Yeah. And I basically trained with him, and then he said, okay, you're on your own. Half what you bill is yours. Go start doing service. Go start, selling our services, talking to people, helping businesses. And I did that for quite a while. And
half of what you earn.
Half of what you bill is
what
yours.
You earn.
Which was a great idea.
Yeah, it is.
But I had to drive to my boss's house every month or so and make him write a check. Because he was pretty disorganized. Well, back then, even in Vail, like if it was a snowy day, 90% of the businesses are closed.
Really?
Yeah, we're skiing. Powder day.
Powder day.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and that turned into helping companies and slowly installing Windows servers. And even the idea of an email was something like, oh, I got AOL, I don't need that. I'm like, well, let's talk about how to be a professional company. And backups were tapes, and only when somebody had something burn and lost their backup did they really want to do it.
Right.
And it's the same. It's never compliance that drives this industry, right? It's what insurers do. It's the cost of business. And even now, security, there's no laws about how you have to do security, but your vendor partners, your insurance companies, they're the ones telling you how you have to do it. So.
And so this is your first foray into the MSP world.
Well, I was building on my own, went out on my own, wasn't MSP at all. And several friends of mine who were also in tech did our first spin up, and back in the 90s, Cisco, people were giving stuff away.
Yeah.
And so we decided, hey, we're going to set up a little ISP here and get some
Internet
fast
service
bandwidth.
Provider.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get some fast bandwidth up to the top of the mountain in Beaver Creek. And the guy we partnered with, and the economy kind of changed, and Cisco said, oh, this $200,000 of gear that we gave you, we kind of want to get paid for it now.
Wow.
And we sold that to somebody and got out of it. But I realized I don't want to just be billing by the hour. And I don't want to work 80 hours a week and never take a vacation because everybody has Rob's cell phone number. So several other folks and I got together, and we formed my first company in Avon, and we were all equal partners.
How many?
There were 5 of us.
Whoa.
And after the first 5 years, it was kind of the same thing. You go bill work, we put all the money in a pot, we pay our expenses equally, then you take your money out. And if somebody earned more money, whether it was we decide how to spend it on marketing, they'd have more votes. But it really wasn't set up to be a scalable business. It was more of a, hey, I want to take a vacation, or I want to put a name out there, or I want to get some insurance for the company. I want to rent some real office space. And I went to, I went to a meeting with Garrett Brucker. Met him in 2008 down in Denver. Met him, talked about HTG, and went to my first meeting in Iowa, November of 2008.
Wow.
And I will say that probably
peer group, HTG.
Yep, HTG, Arlen are even with my business degree, solely responsible of helping me, mature the approach to our business, meet what would become my business partner, share what we do well with peers, hone our skills, and look outside the moment. So.
And that was the defining moment. So then, did you separate from your partners and make the new company?
Yeah, our company was kind of just paycheck to paycheck. We built ourselves jobs. So one lady joined the Peace Corps. One gentleman actually started having some health trouble and decided, hey, I want to quit. The 2 remaining partners had some personal headbutting going on, and one decided to leave. And it got down to myself and one other partner. And in about 2011, I went to him because I've been digesting all this stuff from HTG.
That's right.
And I just said, I've thought about it quite a while, and here's this amount of money right here. You can take this from me, and I will leave, or you can pay me. You can take this from me, and then you leave, or you can pay me the same amount of money, and I'll leave. But we do things very differently. The staff is kind of torn. There's no vision of where we're going. You can do it your way, or I'll do it mine. But we need some direction here, and we're not really compatible in our vision for where we're going. He thought about it, thanked me, took the money, borrowed it from my wife to be's retirement. So that was the only debt that we started the company with, and that was paid back pretty quickly. And from then on, I was someone going to HCG with full authority to make business decisions, to make changes, and staff up and talk about culture and run things the way I wanted.
All mountain.
All Mountain Technologies.
Yeah. And that was, did you actually create a new LLC or just?
We did that in 2002 or 3 when we first formed the company. But basically at that point, it was a company that was a name that was a legacy from one of my old partners who had done a similar kind of company.
What if discipline wasn't about punishment, but about unlocking your best self? I spent 2.5 years writing Discipline for Greatness because discipline changed my life. And I know it can change yours too. This isn't theory. Inside, you'll find real, practical steps you can use immediately to focus better, build stronger habits, reduce stress, accomplish your goals, and bring more balance to your life. Whether you're trying to get healthier, improve your career, or simply feel more control, this book gives you the framework. Start today. Grab your copy of Discipline for Greatness at joeypinz.com/book. Thank you.
Just easier to stick with it sometimes. It's a QWERTY phenomenon.
So why merge with one of your best friends, MSP, and make a bigger one? Why not just keep going the way you were?
I had a COO who was pretty effective, and we had the goal setting in 2017, 2018, what size we wanted to get to before I explored what was next. We got to that point, and I started talking to the ecosystem out there and at conferences. And I've had a lot of peers over the 15 years from 2008 until then. And I saw a lot of seller's regret. I saw a lot of buy-side economics. I saw a lot of people that spent half a life building something that was their brand and sort of being rushed through a first-time process of selling. And I wanted to make sure it was right for myself, my family, my staff, and my clients. And I looked pretty hard for 2 years just to understand the process, and nothing was right. Nothing felt right. And philosophically, there was a gentleman in my peer group, Brian O'Shaughnessy, that he was in a similar quandary. You know, he was like, I'm of this size, and I want to understand what the end game is, and I've investigated, you know, being acquired a couple times, and none of them felt right. And I think that the hardest part, a lot of mergers don't work, but I think what we had from the 15 years of being a peer group was absolute transparency, absolute trust, and we went into it eyes open, knowing that even in the best case, there is a chance that it's cost us our friendship. But the partnership, the trust side is fantastic. What we've built is great, and I think foundationally we're at a place that I couldn't have gotten to on my own. Right. I didn't have the energy. Felt like I was always fighting on two fronts. Right, you're fighting the clients. You're leading from confidence when you're not really sure. You're kind of on guard 23 hours a day, and to have a true partner in that effort, when the ultimate goal is to do right by your staff and your clients, and for me, build my retirement and my family's future, the security of my family, and try to enable my staff to do the same. Like I didn't see that as being the options that were on the table in front of me, and this way I'm going forward. with a team and a vision that's aligned, and we rebranded at that point. And Skytide is now, Brian O'Shaughnessy and myself and about 46 other folks, and I think there are a bunch of different ways we can go, but I think a lot of the key learnings from HCG, now Evolve, still stick with me. Run your business today like you're going to sell it tomorrow.
Right.
The merger, we were always pretty good because of HCG about separating funds and not mixing funds with personal and the finance side of things. And all the merger has done is made us more strict in that regard. And a lot of the things you do, we've defined 17 parameters, a lot of things you do to run your company well, structure your company well, create clarity in your company, are the things that make your company valuable to other investors, or to you as someone who might invest in another company as well. There's no reason not to do them. And I think how to run a company is easy, and the doing of it is sometimes hard.
Yeah.
But having people you trust is absolutely key. Having clarity in your leadership and your team, and we've had some really good team members help us in this path too. And almost all those relationships came from peer groups, channels, people that I met, joked with, had a beer with, golfed with, but eventually came to trust. And owning a company, especially ones like ours that are generally geographically pretty disparate and far apart,
Right.
Is a lonely business. It's hard to speak to your friends, speak to your wife, speak to any of your employees about what really is keeping you awake at night. And having peers in that regard too was another good thing for me.
So for those MSPs, or even small businesses for that matter, that are looking to merge or get acquired, what lessons have you learned from this that you could share?
Well, the blueprint's out there, how to create value, how to run a company. I would pick a peer group and get involved.
Yeah.
I would hold yourself accountable to following best practices and being top quartile. But I think the number one thing is, what are your non-negotiables? Where do you want to end up? I mean, you're going to have an event, whether you plan for it or not. And the best thing to do is to plan for it. And even if you plan for it from a standpoint of building more value in your company and running things better, all those approaches serve the same goal. And if something were to happen, and it does a lot of times unexpectedly, be ready. Be as ready as you can. I say there's no reason not to focus on the principles that make companies valuable from the start.
Now, Rob, you went from CEO to CRO. So your partner, Brian, became... So what was it like stepping back like that, not being able to kind of call all the shots in the whole organization?
It was the right choice. It was hard. At the time, we thought the COO I had would be the one to stay. And because we're in different states, we thought that leadership team of Brian in one region and my CEO, our to-be CEO in another region, would be a comprehensive approach to leadership. It would also be the best way to merge the cultures of the two companies. We started out thinking we were going to be, we're going to be Skytide, but here's the Wisconsin division, here's the Colorado division, and they're going to be federated, they're going to run things separately. And we realized pretty quickly that wasn't going to work for us.
Wow.
So we said, okay, what's the best way to truly merge these companies, build one culture, to get everybody on the same page? And I will say that on the CRO side, the part of the umbrella there is obviously building the sales engine. And that has been the biggest struggle. And I feel like I'm always concerned about letting the team down, because I didn't come up in sales as a CRO, and I'm learning on the fly. And we've got some good partnerships out there, and they're out there to be made. So I appreciate my partner for the grace in that regard too, for the missteps. But it's very different. I'm also a couple years older, and we think about the transition plan or stepping back. It also made sense that way too. But I mean, you asked about what's the main things if you're considering a merger. Be 100% aligned on everything. Talk about everything. Talk about worst case. Talk about divorce. Talk about death. talk about when you want to exit the company. There's so many things to be misaligned on, and all of them can destroy things. And all of a sudden you're dealing with all this energy being spent on internal conflict versus being productive. And I will say that when we started talking about this with a couple other members in our peer group, we initially laughed and kicked around the idea over a decade ago.
Wow.
And there are folks that structure a merger just at the time of exit, and I think the buying entities and investment groups are too mature for that now, and I'm glad we didn't do it. But I think that to build what we've built, have a foundationally solid company, that when I go to hear events like this, when I first started going to IT Nation with Arnie way back 2008, 2009,
yeah,
I realized, we're 1/100th as good as everybody here, and I come out with 20 things to do, and this partner, that partner. Now, I love coming to these in the sense that, okay, 95% of this is validation, and how can I help? It's my turn. But there's 5% of what's next. What's next? I mean, having the basics right, having the financial process right, having the workflow right, having a mature, service delivery, all these things. Being in groups, being exposed to other companies doing it is the best thing you can do.
Rob, is there a question you wish more people asked you?
Like that one?
Is it?
No. I've never thought of that.
Is there something that you do that seems more difficult than it is, than it would seem?
Oh, there's a whole spectrum of things that fall in that. No, I will say, I'll say this, just as far as our business, it does seem, now that I'm on the sales and marketing side, that I owe all of my previous sales and marketing partners an apology.
You grew appreciation.
Well, yeah, because 85% of the businesses are dedicated to admin and ops. And I always was of the attitude of, I'm putting the money in, just make it happen.
Right.
And now that's what I'm being told. And every company, really, to be successful, has to be, everybody has some sales role. Everybody has some element in marketing and speaking to the mission. And I had not intuited that before. And I don't want to say I was glib about it. Maybe I wasn't mature enough as a company, and maybe we weren't ready at the time, but I will say that. I mean, I think that I often, and I think this is probably consistent across 90% of the industry, the tech competencies, the workflow competencies are well ahead of the customer experience side, the account management, the sales, the feedback competencies. And I've seen some companies that are born in marketing and sales, and 10 years ago, I thought they mostly struggled. But I think now you can't build an MSP like we did.
Right.
You can't have a tech hobbyist. There's so much investment into one of the competing ecosystems and integrations, and it's a lot more thoughtful, a lot more money behind it now, and a lot higher price for not doing it well.
Yeah.
So
risk.
So I would tell myself to focus on sales and marketing a little better, a little earlier.
So if we went back like a decade ago, Rob, 10 years ago, is there something you firmly believed then that you no longer believe now? Maybe what you just said.
I believe that I've always been open to people that were doing it better and trying to adopt them. I think the ability to make change happen, if you commit to it, is more powerful than I used to think it was.
Really?
I used to think that, we could try that, but man, that's building the Great Wall of China. But from everything we've done, that is building teams, using EOS, setting small goals, taking a bite of the elephant one at a time, I have learned that everything is achievable. I remember sitting down in 2018 and here's our BHAG to be at this size with this
big, hairy,
revenue.
audacious goal.
Correct. To be at this size, at this revenue. And I remember almost in my own head paying for that facilitator, having my leadership team there, and just half of my mind was like, let's take a break and go to lunch. This is a waste of time. This is so pie in the sky. We got problems right now. And if you live in the problems of today, they'll always find you.
Right.
You have to focus intentionally on where you want to be and make that part of your subconscious and actualize it. And the things you do will start to lend itself towards serving that.
It sure will.
So,
yeah.
So I would tell myself that.
Want to show your love for discipline, inspiration, and the Joey Pinz podcast? Now's your chance. Introducing the brand new Joey Pinz merch store, where style meets discipline. Choose from premium apparel, cozy hoodies, stylish hats, durable bags, and your new favorite coffee mug, all featuring the iconic Joey Pinz logo. Perfect for podcast fans, discipline enthusiasts, or as unique gifts for friends and family. Every purchase supports the Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations podcast, helping us continue to inspire greatness and promote positive change. Visit joeypinz.com/store today and wear your discipline proudly. Joey Pinz merch. Wear it, share it, and live it.
I guess.
So you know my story, Rob. When I started the MSP back in the 90s, of course it wasn't an MSP back then. It was computer support, like we all were. And I was working way too hard like you were, 14, 16-hour days, not paying attention to myself and my well-being, and not playing as much soccer and tennis, etc. So the doctor tells me I'm at 340 pounds. So I gained all this terrible amount of weight. It was a 47-inch waist. And she says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. My oldest was just born. Spent the next 6-7 months, lost about 120 pounds. And, you know, these are lifelong changes. You can't look at these like a finishing line, right? These are lifelong changes you have to make. When I tell people this, they say, what's your secret? What'd you do? And I say, there's no secret. Discipline. Right? Motivation, focus, routine. How does discipline play a role in your life, Rob Bruce?
Well, it needs to step up. I need to promote it. Right now, it's funny. I have excuses. I'm not as disciplined as I should be. I feel like...
Nobody is.
But I feel like there's always an excuse, and it's always valid in the moment. My son's 15. I want to spend the last couple of years with him. I have this role at the company, and I'm going to work late and get this done. I think I'll go back to what I said a minute ago, that you have to pick the priorities in your life. I don't know that I believe in work-life balance as much as I believe in things that are rewarding or recharge you. And if you don't intentionally do those things, and for me, it's helping coach my son's tennis team, it's spending time with him, it's spending time with my wife and family and enjoying where we are, living in the moment, to be blunt. I feel like I could have that discipline, but be giving up a discipline of being more effective at work. So you pick and choose your time. Time's the most valuable thing you have, right? Could I be more focused on my overall picture and how my day-to-day activities lend into it? Absolutely, yes. But I'm looking at the transition to, in the next couple of years, be more maybe board level in the position with my company. Let someone else step up. So there's some uncertainty about what's next, for me in the next 3 years. And I guess to answer your question, I could be more disciplined in the approach to that, but the resources are out there for that as well.
Sure is, yeah.
And I'm still excited by everything I'm doing. I'm recharged by spending time with my family and talking to my friends, and I guess I feel I'm actually trying to be more disciplined about the human relationships I make and keep as I get older. More discriminating, if that can be a good word.
Sure. Yeah, we're more selective when we get older, no question. Yeah.
And spending my time with people where it's a two-way street, where we're giving and getting from each other. So,
as a child of a diplomat who spent 10 years in Western Africa, was discipline discussed or was it exemplified in the household?
My dad would discipline and lead by example. I think that my mom agreed. My mom made him agree. She was also in the State Department. They met in Mexico City.
I didn't realize
My
that.
dad spoke 6 languages, so they would speak Spanish at Christmas time about where the presents are. But but one of the things she believed in, and she was the son of a very stern judge from California, a federal judge, certainly a Nebraska judge, was a no corporal punishment, 0. And I didn't know it as a child, but discipline was. My dad didn't really raise his voice. He just did what he expected, said what he expected, and yeah, my sister and I turned out all right.
Yeah, you certainly did. What motivates you now, Rob?
My son, my family. I have to keep thoughts of motivation and aspirations a little bit smaller, because I used to have larger aspirations. Like when I think about the country and what we could be doing, how we could lead the world, so much is outside of your control.
Yeah.
So much is, do you want to be a part of something? How do you fit in? And my life bandwidth is 2/3, 3/4 over, right?
Right.
I want to focus now, instead of working to live, or living to work. I want to think about the living side of it. So what motivates me is the well-being of my wife, who put up with me doing this for 25 years, and seeing my son launch into an uncertain and challenging world. I mean, the different elements and impingements upon you as a person trying to live now, there's 20 new things every year.
Yeah.
This is a very different world than we evolved to deal with. I mean, and making sure he has a launch point and is going to be successful is a far from certain thing, I think, for anybody, and that motivates me a lot.
Rob, great pleasure. Known you for so long.
Yeah,
Good
Joe,
friend.
thank you.
Anybody watching or listening, how can they get in touch with you? What's the best way? LinkedIn, maybe?
My LinkedIn is used for
You're
marketing.
right, actually. Your LinkedIn's got this old photo of you.
Well, it's also been co-opted by the marketing team.
I see.
I would say go to the Skytide website, email me. If you know somebody that knows me, get my number.
We'll put the email there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, but Joe, thank you.
Thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate it. I know you asked me probably 300 times to be on this.
I really appreciate it. It was well worth it. Appreciate the openness.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources, and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.